We're going to start a new series tonight. So I want to begin by, and I always kind of start this particular series on spirituality and the 12 steps. I always kind of start it with the reading on May 1st. It's called the Recovery Prayer, one of my favorite prayers in this book. God, thank you for keeping me straight yesterday. Please help me stay straight today. For the next 24 hours, I pray for knowledge of your will for me only and the power to carry that through. Please free my thinking of self-will, self-seeking, dishonesty, and wrong motives. Send me the right thought or action. Show me what my next step should be. In times of doubt and indecision, please send me your inspiration and guidance. I pray you might help me work through all of my problems to your glory and honor. Today, I will trust that God will do for me what I cannot do for myself. I will do my best, working the 12 steps and allowing God to do the rest. I wanted to share that because we're going to start a new series tonight on spirituality and the 12 steps. And I want to begin by giving what I refer to as a talk I always love giving. It's called Spirituality and Recovery. I probably told you the story. I'll say it one more time. Way back in 1981, I gave a talk. I dropped a lady off for treatment at Riverside House in Northeast Philly. I had lunch with the staff, and at 10 of 1, the director said to me, Bill Paul, he said, I'd like you to give the lecture at 1 o'clock today. I said, Bill, I'd love to give the lecture, but it's only a 10-minute warning. He said, don't worry about it. So I did. I got up there and I talked about spirituality, talked for about 40 minutes. When I was done, Bill came up to me and he said, that was pretty good, Father. Why don't you come back once a month and give the same talk? I said, I'd love to. I have no idea what I said. Bill said I taped it, gave me a copy of the tape. I played it in my car on the way home. Boy, did I get a lot out of that talk. It was fantastic. I joke about that today and look at it today because I realize so many times in our life, we never know when the higher power guides us and shows us the way. Even through turmoil, no matter what, we have faith and we have trust. It's almost like somehow, some way, we find a way. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to share that with you tonight. Because when we talk about spirituality, I'm going to clarify something right from the beginning. The word spiritual or spirituality actually comes from Latin and Greek. The word is spiritus actualis, which means an actualization or an awakening to your personal spirit. The word of itself has nothing to do with religion at all, yet it's used by religion a lot. But really, in reality, to develop a spiritual awakening, to come to an awakening, to come to a knowledge of self, is something very basic and fundamental in the process of life. And so tonight I want to share something with you that basically was given to me in a very special way. I want to share with you what I call the 4 spiritual questions and the 5 spiritual principles. And they're simple. I hate doing this, especially the codependents, because we have a tendency to complicate a lot of things. So this is something that's not going to be too complicated. And yet, it does involve a lot of hard work. The 4 spiritual questions. Number 1, do you love yourself? Never in my wildest dreams, my wildest imagination, that I'd be actually saying that I need to fall in love with myself, to build a personal relationship with myself as a person. You know, there's something powerful and beautiful in that. Because I realize now, if I don't love myself, I can't love anybody else. I can't give to someone else what I don't have. That takes you into that second question, which is, do you like yourself? Do you accept the reality of who you are? You know, what's so beautiful about life is that we only have one life to live. Each one of us is unique, and each one of us has to learn the importance of loving and liking who we are. We come to an acceptance of what I can do, what I can't do, acceptance of gifts and talents, acceptance of the spirit that makes each one of us the individual that we are. And that's very special. So to love and like yourself means to enjoy your company, to enjoy being with you. You know, it's kind of interesting when you look and you realize this is the journey life has given me. So we're all taken on the journey we're supposed to be on. How many years, we'll never know. How many days, we'll never know. All we know is we have today. The third question is, do you respect and do you honor yourself as a person? Respect and honor. You know, it sounds old-fashioned. It really does. And yet it's not. Because to respect and to honor yourself, to respect your individuality, to respect your personhood is such a gift. And it's that beautiful concept of being able to celebrate who I am, to be able to look at myself and realize that I am a gift. So love, like, respect, and finally the last question, do you care about yourself? You know, it took me till I was 46 years old to learn how to finally take care of this body, to be able to look at myself and look at the inside and be able to begin the process of getting to know who I am. You know, it's sad in some ways when you go through 46 years of life. Yes, not knowing who you really are. And then to begin the journey of learning, the journey of experiencing, the journey of a constant process of learning your gifts, your talents, who you are, why you're on this earth, what it's really all about. And every one of us is unique. Every one of us is special. We are all connected together. We are all part of the process of life. It's so important. We have to stick with that. So, along with those four questions, which, by the way, are not the easiest questions to answer, and yet they are what I call the fundamental questions of life. To love myself, to like myself, to respect myself, and to care for myself. Because if I can really work on those, then I have a powerful energy to share and give to others. Then there are the five spiritual principles. The first spiritual principle is very simple. It's something we've all heard over and over again. One day at a time, one step at a time. To learn to live in the present, to live in the moment. All we have is today. You know, every morning when we get up, if we wake up, we've been given the gift of life. When I say my morning prayers in the morning, and I read from my little Matt Talbot prayer book, and it says in there, don't worry about yesterday. It's over. Learn from it. Be open to tomorrow, but live today. Live in this moment, stay in this moment. And as I get older, I'm beginning to realize each day is unique and each day is special. So we go on a journey. Did I get everything accomplished the day I wanted to get accomplished? Of course not. There's still a lot more to do. But all I can do is what I can do, because today is today. Make time every day when you're on this earth. And make time for yourself. Make time to love yourself. But live one day at a time. You know, I always get a smile on my face when I hear that phrase, because years ago I used to hang out at a place in Philly called the 4021 Club. It's an AA clubhouse in Center City. And we had an old timer there named Charlie. And Charlie was a very strange individual. I think it goes with the name. But the bottom line is, we used to always play games with Charlie. They used to always say to Charlie, "Hey, Charlie, how long are you sober?" Charlie would say, 4:15 this morning. Yeah, come on, Charlie. We know you've been sober at least 200 years. He'd say, 4:15 this morning. No matter what you did to him, he used to always say, always remember, every one of us is equal. All we have is today. Enjoy the moment. His life was simple. His life was basic. I learned a lot from him. He lived in the present. And unfortunately, so many of us have a tendency to want to go back and live in the past. You know, I don't want to live in the past. I want to learn from the past. I want to be open to where God has in store for me, no matter what it is. But be able to apply it to the present where I am now. So that principle is so simple and yet so basic and so fundamental. The second spiritual principle are three beautiful letters. PPT, persons, places, and things. As I go on the journey of earth, I have to learn something. And to me, this is the most important part of our journey, to learn boundaries, to know where people are on the journey of our life, and to realize that we can learn. And setting boundaries means I know people that are healthy for me and people that are not healthy for me. And I want to continue to live that life, that spiritual life, have to be able to discern, to sort out what's good and what's not good. And let go of the stuff that's not good. Be open to the stuff that's good. So it's that concept again of learning how to set boundaries with things, to be able to realize what's healthy for my growth, not just with people, but with stuff and situations in life, to realize it is what I'm doing healthy for my growth process. So I have to ask those questions and ask myself, do I also have a sense of balance in my life? Am I able to work through things? Do I realize I'm going to make mistakes? Yes, we all make mistakes. But am I willing to learn from my mistakes? Am I willing to grow? It's all about boundaries. It's all about developing. It's all about knowing where things are on your life journey. See, the thing I'm trying to bring out tonight is we are the architects of our life. We've been given a gift, the gift of our personhood. And that gift cannot be taken for granted. That gift is something very special. And yes, we're going to have setbacks. We're going to get sick once in a while. We're going to go through changes. We're going to go through loss. We're going to go through happiness. We're going to go through celebration. We're going to go through this whole mixture beautiful concept of life. And to be able to sort it out and to realize what's the good, what's the stuff that helps me to grow, how can I let go of the others, how do I sort through things? That's important. That's one of the basic principles of spirit, basic principles of your spirituality. To be able to look at yourself and say, wow, there's so much to life. And yet there's so much to learn, so much to experience, and to try to be open to it. That leads into the third principle. The third principle is two letters, HP, higher power. I learned something over the years. For me, truly be a person that loves and likes and respects and cares for who I am, I need to be a person of faith, a person of trust, a person that is open to realize I can't do it alone. I need to be connected to people, to my higher power, to those that help me on my journey. Nothing in life happens by accident. I look at the term higher power and I realize God has my back. We're being guided. There's something much more powerful. Even when these steps were put together, you know they had to be divinely inspired. Something guided them. You know why? Did two guys, as sick as they were, come together and meet each other in a psychiatric hospital and decide to help each other, to start something? And from there, it grew. Did they have their ups and their downs? And yet they understood the need to believe, the need to have faith, the need to trust, the need to be open. Everything in life, it's funny how we never know how things are going to be. I shared this with you before. I remember when I got ordained, I was 26 years old. I really was at the age where I thought I had all the answers. When the bishop asked me what kind of assignment I wanted the poorest assignment ever possible. And the crazy bishop gave me the assignment to the richest parish possible. I didn't like him at all. That was a God moment, a God wink. If I wasn't being sent there, I never would have met Morgan, never went to Al-Anon, never would have started my journey in recovery. Nothing happens by accident. There's a method to stuff. And I really believe if we have faith and we have trust, somehow we'll be guided. Even when we think we're controlling it, we don't. It's just totally amazing. Everything happens when it's supposed to happen. I was in a state of confusion in 1977. I went to Philadelphia, took a leave of absence to take a break from the priesthood to see if I wanted to stay or go. And for some reason, God sent this wonderful gentleman named Norm into my life, who basically became a good friend and took me to a lot of meetings. And then one day after a meeting, he gave me a mustard seed, told me to put it in my pocket. I thought he was nuts. The God wink. You never know where it's going to come from. I had no idea at all that mustard seed meant the next day when Norm told me to meet him somewhere. That mustard seed was going to become the starting point. Who knows how things happen, where you go. who you're connected with. But I know if you're not open to learn, open to grow, open to new things, new generations, new concepts. Even today, I realize the higher power guides us and shows us different ways, even when our roles change. It's kind of nice now being the founder of Starting Point. I'm finally figuring out what it means. It means that you can go and come as you please, except when they need you, they roll you out. Like for the 5K, they brought me out so I could give the awards out and smile at everybody and give a nice little talk and wave. You know, what can I tell you? But yet I'm learning new generations, new things. My open mind, I'm starting to learn things called Instagram, LinkedIn, all this kind of stuff. Maybe, what generation is it now? The Gen X generation or whatever it is. All these different concepts in different directions. It's not bad for a war baby. The concept is we learn, we open up, we grow, we don't stop. Because God, as I choose to call the higher power, works in mysterious ways. And I've been around the rooms of recovery a long time. I have heard story after story after story, and I've learned because I don't debate, I don't try to figure it out. I've often said the higher power talks to us through people, through circumstances, and through situations. One of the funniest AA meetings I ever went to. I went to a meeting in Center City, Philadelphia one day on a Sunday, and this gentleman was the speaker. And he said that his higher power was a policeman's billy club. I said, what? He had to hear the story. He had mounted on the wall in his bedroom a policeman's billy club. Every morning, he would say a prayer to the billy club, asking the billy club to keep him sober. At nighttime, he thanked the billy club for keeping him sober. Then I heard the story. When he was in his active addiction, he never left the bar when he was asked to. He would fight with cops all the time. After getting smacked over the head about 300 times with a billy club, he finally figured it out. The billy club must be his higher power. When he says a prayer in the morning, if he picks up a drink, that sucker is waiting for him. That's called a sober moment. Again, sometimes I think I've heard it all, and then I hear another story. And that's okay, because whatever works, we'll have to find what works for us. All different types of things, different ways, different concepts. A good friend of mine, I've known him for, God, it's almost 19 years now. He's a professed atheist. And so he always used to say to me about prayer. So finally, he came to me one day and he said, I was still a priest. He said, Father, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. He said, he took the big book of, he was the basic text of Narcotics Anonymous. He was in the program. He told me he's going to put it on his bed every morning, get on his knees, and ask the big book of NA to keep him straight for the day. At nighttime, he thanked the big book and went to sleep. Now, I said, sounds good to me. Keep doing it. Whatever works. See, there's faith, there's trust. That's what they mean. We'll talk more about this when we get into the steps. When we talk about the higher power, we're talking about joining an exclusive club. I call it the Higher Power Club. I call it the 4-H Club. The four higher powers: honest power, humble power, humor power, and healing power. If I have the power to be as honest as I can be today, nobody's ever perfectly honest. Be as honest as I can be today. If I have the power to be open, to have a sense of humility, to be open to learn and be open to grow. If I can have a sense of humor, to sometimes laugh at life, laugh at the twists and turns of where life takes you. To be able to be open to the healing, to learn, to heal, to move forward. The four H's, to be open to the process of growth in my life. See, I've learned over and over again that strength comes from a sense of trust, a sense of faith, a sense of belief that I'll be guided. How? I don't know. Somebody will come along, something will happen. We'll get a message somewhere, someplace. I'll always be guided. That's what's important. The fourth spiritual principle is a three-letter word: G-O-D. Good, orderly direction. In short, be quiet, listen, be open, learn. You know, I've learned something in the course of my journey in life. I don't want to walk this journey by myself. I want to be open to direction, open to listen, to learn from people around me. I've had some powerful, powerful mentors in my life, and I'm so grateful to them. And God has always sent them at the right time. Some of them came in some very strange ways, and yet I've loved every one of them. One of my mentors was one of our therapists, Teresa Barrett, Teresa B. God rest her soul. You know, I always love stories. And when I gave that talk on spirituality at Riverside House, that's the day I met Teresa. Teresa was a patient. She was a tough one. Tough, tough as nails. Came up to me after my talk and she said, I'll never forget this. She looked at me and she said, "Are you a priest?" I said, "Yeah." "Well, I hate priests." I said, "Well, thank you." She said, "That talk you gave," she said, "you're full of shit." That's my introduction to Teresa. Teresa went on to become one of the most powerful counselors at Starting Point. She only worked with the worst patients we had. I just don't love her. It's an amazing lady. I learned from so many beautiful people in so many different ways. You never know. Remember another one of our counselors, Bernie Stiefel, a great guy. I met him in a rehab. I met a lot of my counselors in a rehab. Anyway, Bernie came up to me after I gave a lecture when I was a priest, and he says, "You know, Father," he said, "this stuff is pretty good. When I get out of here," he said, "I'm going to open up a halfway house for alcoholics." I said, "Bernie, you're going to go into a halfway house for alcoholics." I said, "Do it the right way." Bernie never forgot that. I remember telling that story at his funeral. You know, it's funny how people connect with us, how people come. We never know where they're going to come from. And yet, they are some of the greatest teachers on the face of this earth. You never know. Sometimes God speaks to us through the lowliest of people, and yet the most powerful of people. And that's why we got to be open to it. I know one thing. I can't do this alone. I need guidance. I need direction. I need therapy. I need people to help me on the journey. I need my sponsor in my program. I need all these different unique individuals and people that help me in my growth process. Without them, it's not going to work. It's called family, being connected. The last spiritual principle is one I always love sharing. And the term is never give up. Keep coming back. And I want to share a story with you, a story that means a lot to me today. It's about a man named Elijah. We called him Sonny for short. The old starting point of South Philadelphia, the building, was dedicated to Sonny, to Elijah. There's a plaque up on the wall of the old building. The building was dedicated to him as the symbol of the recovering person. That plaque is now on the wall in my office. It was on the wall of the building. And why was it dedicated to Sonny? I met Sonny in Atlantic City. He had a tough time with drugs, with alcohol. He would be in and out of rehabs 3, 4, 5 times, come to meetings on Arctic Avenue, and tried everything to stay sober. He'd be sober for 6 months, go back out again, come back in. He fought and battled like crazy. We found Sonny dead in his apartment with this disease. A few of us from AA got together. We had a funeral for Sonny. We buried him at the Atlantic City Cemetery. We made a little stone. We had it made to put on his grave. And on the stone it says, Sonny is sober today. I'll never forget that. And that's the reason why we dedicated the building to Elijah, the symbol of the recovering person. I've learned over the years, there are no accidents, there are no mistakes. There's just life. And life just takes you on the journey. And yes, there's scars along the way. There's learning along the way. There's movement to new things in life. There's letting go, and there's being open to new directions and new concepts. Where it's going to lead you, I don't know. There's change. This morning one of our younger counselors was moving in this morning, setting their office up, carrying furniture in. And of course, I couldn't help them. To be helpless like that is painful. But I had to be able to let somebody else younger help them carry a desk. Because I know I can't do that stuff anymore. And that's okay. It's hard to let go. It's hard to move to a new direction, a new element in life. But you have to learn that as we go along. And so I look at this today, and I look at this concept of spirituality, to love myself, to like myself, to basically respect and care for myself, to live life one day at a time, to be able to be around healthy people, to learn from others, to be able to have a sense of my higher power guiding me with faith and trust, to listen, to be open to direction, and to realize that I'll never be done. I'm always in process, but never to give up, to keep trying, even when we make mistakes. That's the real sense of spirituality. That's what spirit really is all about. And we do that by getting connected to the steps. So over the next 3 or 4 weeks, I want to take you on a journey through the 12 steps, a spiritual journey through the 12 steps. We'll begin with the first 3 next week. And we'll talk about the foundation, the basics. It's all about development. And the steps are a gift. So we'll go on a journey. And the 12 steps are what I refer to as the 12 basic principles of life, to be able to live by them. And they'll teach us self-love, self-awareness, and self-discovery. I hope this helps understand more about spirituality and understand it. Because Dr. Bob put it beautifully when he said to Bill W. He reminded Bill, he said, Bill, remember, this is a spiritual program, not a religious program. That's open to everybody, everywhere, in every place. I don't think Dr. Bob knew it. But with that statement, he put together something very beautiful. You realize from what he said, there are close to 21 different 12-step meetings today, all connected around those principles and those concepts. I call them walking miracles. It's so beautiful about it. So it helps us to understand spirituality better. So in my closing prayer tonight, I want to pray that our spirit, our energy, and who we are will grow stronger as a result of our commitment and our growth in life. So let us pray. God, I call upon the God of my understanding, my divine presence. Please be my strength, be my guide. Help all of us on our journey. Teach us that you are the architect. You are the guide. Teach us the gift of faith and trust, that we'll be led where we're supposed to be led. Teach us to be open. Teach us to try to learn. And sometimes when we stumble and we fall, help to pick us up. Help us to learn and move forward. So we come together tonight and we ask you to help us to work on our spirit, to look within and realize how special and beautiful we are. Thank you. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for the gift of learning. Thank you for the gift of openness. But above all, thank you for the gift of learning from our mistakes, of being able to become a better person each and every day of our life. We continue to pray for your guidance every day, and we pray that you will guide us on this journey today and every day. We pray this and we ask this in your name. Amen.